off on their mics just before we start? Off? Right. Until you talk, right? Otherwise, everything gets picked up. Okay. This is the Planning Commission meeting to be held in the Common Council Chambers, City Hall, Room 100, on November 9th, 2021 at 6 p.m. This meeting is called to order. Would you please call the roll?
Alderperson Kastner.
Present.
Steve Rogers. Present. Brian Weiss excused. Don Carlson. Present. Dave Schulz. Present. Bob Krenz.
Present.
Mike Braswell.
Present.
And Mayor Knightsky.
Present. Michael Braswell is an alternate member but can vote tonight with Mr. Weiss's absence. Item 3, discussion regarding the last Common Council meetings, I guess that would be, right?
Minutes.
Oh, minutes. Did I? Sorry. Approval of the minutes from the October 12th meeting. I'd entertain. Motion by Commissioner Carlson, second by Commissioner.
I abstain.
I'm sorry, who seconded?
Mr. Steve Rogers.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Sorry about that. Discussion regarding last Common Council meetings.
We did not have any public hearings in October.
Okay. Item 4. I think we have the folks here that own the 2 parcels at issue. The certified survey map for proposed recombination of 2 parcels located at 3230 West Allerton and 3260 West Allerton, submitted by Philip M. Eistedt and Florence T. Eistedt. Tax key numbers is listed. Eistedt. Okay. With a T? Okay. Sorry.
This is a proposal just to shift the lot line 8 feet west. You can see the 2 parcels that we're discussing this evening. So the line will be moved to the left, or to the west, 8 feet. And this parcel on the east is today non-conforming in size. It will become conforming once the CSM is recorded.
I'd make a motion to approve the item as presented. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Rogers. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 5A and 5B, this is a special use
They
permit.
want more.
Did you want more?
You want more discussion? You want us to argue about this?
We could talk about it we could change our minds.
Well, who wants to cut the tree down? That's the big question.
Can you go back for us? So this item is, do you want to still talk about it? Anything? Do you know
You all good?
Do you know the laws on trees, how that works? Is that what we're talking about?
I just brought that up.
Okay.
You took that,
You
yes.
took that responsibility.
That's huge.
Yep. That would be your tree probably now. Okay, very good. Anything else? You can stay if you'd like.
Stay and
It promises to be riveting. These meetings are riveting.
You're going to be missing all the fun stuff if you don't stay.
All this stuff's going to be in the paper tomorrow. You could be here watching it. Yeah, we're being broadcast to over 8 billion people worldwide on YouTube right now.
We only get 5 at our council meetings.
I know. There's probably some hanky. All right. Anyways, 5A and 5B. This is special use permit for city food equipment, a proposed business located at 5340 West Loomis Road. This is a site plan review for that same business submitted by Dean Anderson, doing business as City Food Equipment. You're here? Okay. Christy?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have a proposed new property owner for this site, and City Food Equipment has an offer to purchase the entire property, which is oddly split zoned, with the front where the building is zoned commercial and the back end where it's forested and a lot of trees is zoned PUD. They are a retailer of restaurant equipment and supplies, and that particular use requires a special use and public hearing. They do have 2 Illinois locations, and they've been in business since the 80s. Their proposed hours of operation would be Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, Saturday, 9 to 1. Their requirement for parking is just 5 stalls short as to what's on site, but that is something the council can waive, and we don't foresee an issue with parking at the property. You can see the site's been neglected for some time. The parking lot is in pretty rough shape. The refuse enclosure, the doors and the walls are leaning and just taken kind of a beating over time with not being maintained. and vacant for some time. The siding is in pretty rough shape. You can see it's falling apart. They have maybe replaced some sheets over time with the different coloring. You can see that, again, pieces are just kind of coming apart. There's holes. And so with that, staff recommends the following site improvements prior to occupancy: patching the parking lot where you see the divots and the holes where water is puddling, repairing any damaged siding, replacing that refuse enclosure, and repairing and painting the front gable. Those are recommended prior to occupancy. And then big ticket items, which we definitely recognize are definitely more expensive. Staff's recommending that 2 years of time be given to completely resurface the lot and replace all of the siding. So those are staff's recommendations. A public hearing would be required and could be scheduled for December 21st.
Okay, so just one quick thing, that with regard to occupancy, this is just because it's kind of sometimes recurring. I think occupancy should be granted, but it's continued occupancy is contingent upon completion of the items that you've provided. Does that make sense?
Can you come to the mic, actually?
Can you come to the
Can you
microphone,
come up here a
please?
second? Because otherwise we can't hear you. And
Just a second, I'm going to turn that on. Okay, you can go ahead.
I talked to Andrew this morning, and I went through all the items, and he said, bring it up to you. A lot of stuff is weather permitting. You know, I can't paint the gable, and, you know, I need to open it up. So, if I close on December, within a month or something, I would like to open up for business. But the driveway has to be, you know, in the 65-degree weather to, you know, recoat it.
so there's nobody that's open after November 15th to do the asphalt?
I can do the patching, but actually coating, it really won't hold, you know? And, you know, almost a lot of like the paint up in front. I can do the patching and do other major repairs to make it look nice and you know, pleasant to the eye, but a lot of the work can't happen until, you know, the weather's warmer. But I don't want it to hold up opening up my business, because, you know, I can't wait till, you know, 5 months later open a business.
Do we want to do June for the underlined items?
Or July 1st or something, yeah. Is that fair?
I think so. I think if you give a couple months past the spring, obviously you can't do it immediately when the snow thaws, but sometime real soon after that.
But it won't lock me out of opening a
No,
business.
July 1st. You can do it by July 1st?
Okay.
Yeah, we're just asking for a verbal commitment here that you'll do that by.
Actually, we're asking for a real written commitment to be approved by the council.
Later.
Yeah, just, you got to have it done by July 1st, the underlying repairs that.
Repairs,
and
the
the more
painting.
remedial things.
Everything
by-
underlined, yeah. Mhm.
Right.
So you open now and then you do that.
But the understanding is that the major things that I think are they on the screen? Yeah. Occupancy would be granted, but it's contingent
Right,
upon the completion of these items by that time.
right.
Okay.
I have no problem with that, because that all should be done, because to make
Right.
the place look nicer.
What was your
Yeah,
plan to resurface, or what was the replacement of the panels or siding? What is your
Oh,
long-term
Yeah, that's what I
goal?
was going to address, is the major holes I definitely will patch immediately, because they can do that during cold weather. The coating will be done afterwards. And then I would like to see if it's determined if the whole driveway needs to be done, you know, because it's a big square footage.
It probably does need to be done because it hasn't been done since the business went in, and that business has been there since I was
Right.
really small.
Okay, and then the siding, there's a couple bad panels. I think they're more looking at it because they're different colors. If the whole place was painted, it'd probably look beautiful. So I don't, you know, they were saying something about re-siding the whole building. It's a steel building, it's not like a house where it would be just siding. You're talking about restructure the whole building.
Yeah, I think the biggest concern are the places where it's really dented in and smashed up, right?
Okay, so
But
if
it
I
would
fit-
have to be repainted, I
Yes.
think, the entire building. And you'd want to talk to her with regard to, or her staff, or,
Yeah, I just want to be concerned before I actually buy the building, that to re-side the whole building, that's the whole building. You know, that's like building a new building, but I understand that you want it repaired and all matching. Correct?
in a strong,
Yep.
in the best workmanlike manner possible, right?
100%.
Not just, right?
No duct tape?
Beneficial to you, right, because you do have customers coming in and out of there, right?
Exactly. I want to look present. All my buildings are, I always get them in this shape and I make them nice.
So instead of re-siding the whole thing, when do you think you would you would have the damaged siding repaired and the whole building repainted? When do you think the siding portion of it?
I would say within 6 months of,
Oh, that soon? Okay, so we'll.
This year, yeah.
We'll remove, if the plan commission wishes, to reset this one right here, reside by December. Because you're saying you'll repair and paint
yes.
Now you would do that?
in
or
the
would
next
you
few
need-
months.
Within
Five-
6 months.
Within 6 months.
Until July
July
next year?
1st.
Yes.
Okay.
So the
Yes.
repair and paint front gable is to actually repair and paint the entire building, less the brick or whatever.
Right.
Yeah,
By
I'm planning on
By
painting
July
the
of
whole building. Yes.
2022?
I got it.
2022, okay.
Right.
And the,
What about the refugee closure? You didn't mention?
I looked at that and I talked to Andrew and he said that they don't really like gates anymore because that's what's in there, like a chain link fence. I don't know if you see the picture.
Gate might not be the right word, but
It's what?
we like gates.
we just like gates that are closed.
Okay. Because they were saying board on board.
Yeah.
So that's,
So you're not supposed to be able to see through it, so this is kind of a non-conforming gate because they use the slats. You can see right through it, right? The whole
Okay.
point is not to see the stuff
yeah,
inside.
that'll be done immediately because it's an eyesore. And I understand they want a separate entry, which I'll do right away. So I'm going to keep the same structure, just repair it and put in a door that they
Okay.
want to access door.
So the entry door, although it's probably not necessarily required, it's a good thing to do because it preserves the gate and it keeps it closed when people are throwing stuff. It's a good idea.
I actually found it in our code not too long ago.
Did you put it in there?
No, I did not. It was in there.
We have bike racks in our code too, that we ignore.
I'm sorry,
Is there a bike rack?
Coming in and out, like, so
not too many, just on the deliveries, when they bring equipment in.
what sizes?
Like a moving truck, 26 foot. No semi. Once in a while I get out of a semi, but nothing like every day.
Just going through my own thing with heavy trucks damaging the parking lot. So
Yeah.
when
There-
you're doing that, you might want to consider.
There's two loading docks, which are designed for the highway, for a semi, and they're cement. They're not asphalt. I don't know if you see them in the picture. They're not in that picture, but there isn't one of them. Right there.
Is that concrete?
That's concrete. So that's where, if there was a semi, they'd be parking and pulling in there. And it wouldn't be even overnight, it'd be just drop off and leave.
You'll have to redo the parking lot, right? It's not just going to be a patching job
It's gonna eventually have to be replaced because it is cracked up.
by 2023. I mean, it's in really rough shape.
Okay, I agree to that.
This is gonna be your largest location,
No, the one in Chicago it's
Chicago proper?
Lombard.
Lombard?
Yeah,
That's bigger?
yeah, it's 44,000 square feet,
Oh,
so,
you're second generation?
yes.
Oh, good for you.
What's that?
Do you know where Grace Street is in Lombard?
Yes,
My very first girlfriend lived on Grace Street in Lombard.
she may still be there.
I don't think she doesn't live there anymore.
Oh, okay.
He's had a lot of girlfriends.
No, I only had like one in my two, maybe. I always remembered that.
I think this is recorded, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going out to the world. She's probably
is
watching it. I
broadcast
think
to the whole
she
globe.
lives in central Wisconsin now, so maybe she's watching. All right.
Do we have an
So we
idea what the
understand what it is.
motion-
I'd make a motion to approve the special use permit and the site plan review as discussed with the changes being made July of 2022
Yes,
with regard to all the changes other than the complete reconstruction of the parking lot, which is at the end of 2023. Does that sound right?
yes,
So be really careful when you paint it and colors and all those kinds of things. Make sure you contact those folks to make
Okay,
sure
I
the
didn't know that.
palette is right and all that stuff, right?
okay, I didn't know that, that was
Right.
good to know.
Other thing, lighting and signage, you'll want to make sure that you contact them as well. Lighting has to be downlit. You can't just go to Farm and Fleet and get the Cobra fixtures, right?
Okay,
Just, those are usually the two biggies, right?
and I know they want the one, they're changing all the codes for the high one. They want to lower it, correct? they want them all small now because they have a real tall one now.
We allow 20-foot poles
Oh, you do? Okay,
Yep.
I thought everything had to be down. There was a zoning.
Downlit.
downlit.
Downlit,
Yeah. It
just
can't be
has, the
angled.
light has to go down. It
Yeah.
can't, you're not supposed to be able to see the bulb for the most part. Unless you're looking straight up
Like
at
these
it,
can
obviously.
lights are okay, but that globe over there wouldn't.
I'm talking about the signage outside. There's a pole.
Oh, signage.
50-foot pole.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
that's-
I've seen that it's not grandfathered in. We gotta
Right,
lower it.
yep.
Yep, Yep. All right, motion, I'll make that motion. Seconded by Carlson, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
All right,
Usually people from Illinois, we don't approve, just so you know, so.
Must have been something with your girlfriend.
My Bears outfit's in the car.
Is it? Yeah, it's best that you left it out there.
Right.
What's your license plate number? Just
And the
kidding.
Lincoln.
I'm kidding. It was a joke.
Sorry about last night.
Yeah, okay. Discussion decision 6, discussion decision to rename a portion of South 110th Street, a private street from the center line of South 108th Street to a point 550 feet west of the center line of South 108th Street to West Sunset Lane. This goes east and west. I'd make the motion to approve that.
Second,
Second by Alderperson Cassidy.
is that really the line we're gonna use, or are we gonna use the property line?
You're already talking.
Well, you gotta talk to the mic, though.
Yeah, you have to come up here. So there's some things with regard, that I know with regard to the traffic signal, that it has to go a certain distance to be a
I
road.
think you're complaining about the name, huh?
I am complaining about the name. We talked about it, so we spent a lot of time and effort with Google to get that named as 110th Street for the condos. And I'm fearful that if we rename that part coming in from Highway 100 and somebody puts Sunset Lane in, they're gonna end up in the Sunset Lane cul-de-sac for the single-family homes. Because that's, that part of the
You have it
road
down
is.
there. So the issue is that you have 110th going into 108th, right?
I know, yeah, I
That's-
understand the problem.
So do you want a different name?
Don't you think people are gonna get lost and end up in the Sunset, because it's not called Sunset Court over there, right? It's called Sunset Lane?
That's what's on there.
It looks like on the map here, it looks like it reads like Sunset Lane.
Yes, it's Sunset Lane, along with other continuation of Sunset,
That pretty much
that
goes through the whole
proximity in the
city.
city,
Yeah, but,
any
I mean,
roads
this
are
is sort of-
Sunset Lane.
I get that. I get that as a problem. I mean, there's.
I don't care what, I'm honest to God.
Yeah, I don't have a
I
problem.
don't care what.
I don't know if the single-family homeowners would complain if we changed them to Sunset Court, and then you carried it through as Sunset Lane.
I think there was a motion about naming it Mike Knightsky Street.
No, I thought it was Kastner Boulevard.
It makes
We already
sense
used
for the
Chris Court,
numbers.
so I
I
can't
just
go.
know
I
we're
don't
gonna
care what
have
it's
problems.
called. And it will be used as I think, like you're suggesting, actually.
So,
Do we have the other property owner potentially here?
So so you pushed it, well, you can't, okay, so you pushed it through on Google to be 110th Street. Mm-hmm. But that won't work. 'Cause
It's on her 10th.
right, so because it needs to change from the gate, because the condos are all gonna stay on 110th Street.
Right.
Which is okay, the way it is.
I mean, I
right?
got that in my subdivision. You go down,
It's confusing.
Well,
it's in every subdivision, though. I mean, you got a subdivision, the
Well,
road
let's redo
that
the whole
turns.
city. Just kidding.
Change the whole city, yeah.
we're a recommending body, can we recommend the name to a street in there?
Well, she wants it numbered, 119th. That's what you want.
What do you want?
No, I just think that we shouldn't call it Sunset Lane.
As a,
I don't know the
So what would that
solution.
be?
You, would you,
Abbott Avenue.
you want it to be called
How about Sunset Avenue?
Sunset Street, Sunset Ave?
Because the avenues go east and west.
I mean, people are gonna end up lost, but it is, eventually they'll get used to it, right? Is it always just Sunset Lane all the way through?
Yeah, that's why engineering suggested
Where's the rest of
Sunset
Sunset
Lane.
Lane?
So it'll be where those houses are right here, right?
That
So that's
cul-de-sac
where-
No,
right there.
forgetting about that, I can't,
Does it run through, is Sunset Lane on the other side of 108th Street?
No, that's the driveway to,
I mean, like further east, like
it's
throughout the
definitely,
entire.
it goes all the way west to the
I'm not aware of it.
124th,
Yeah, but going east, it doesn't go anywhere.
possibly. I don't know if it,
It goes back into like Chapman and over on 122nd in your subdivision, you're right. Then it
Doesn't go
stops and
east.
it doesn't go through again, then it starts
It
like
doesn't-
3
it's
blocks
nowhere
over.
up East of there though, right?
I guess let's just keep it Sunset Lane because looking at this map of the city, Sunset Lane doesn't really go through anywhere.
Yeah, you're right, it doesn't. You've got this
all over.
little leg here, this leg here,
West over by 116th Street.
this leg here.
Yeah, then it goes over, yeah.
It's like little legs everywhere. But in that, between Layton and Cold Spring, yeah.
or a pro football player used to live on that street.
Well, then I don't know that it's really an issue,
Stop it.
because if it's Sunset Lane over on 116th Street, you've kind of got the same issue.
Same thing happening, yeah. Here, here,
Yeah.
and here.
It's like Sunset Lane's in 4 different parts of that little 20 block. It's fine.
I had a problem with sunset too because you're not going to really see the sunset. You're going to see the sunrises because you're on that side of the hill.
Semantics, jeez Louise.
Unless you're up higher.
Well, yeah, but that's when you get to the houses where it is sunset.
There aren't any other streets called Lane in the city. They're all called Avenue. Did you know that?
Well, but we've got a continuing street there, so to me, it's a non-issue.
Okay, so does somebody want to make a motion to approve that? Did we already do that?
I
can't
do, I have a motion and second.
Change it or make a motion?
Just to
I'd
approve it
make
at-
a motion to leave it the same.
All right, that's, I think, what the motion was, right?
A motion to leave it at Sunset Lane. I'm.
And there was a second?
Carl seconded,
All
yeah.
in favor?
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed? Sorry. All,
It's okay, I can live with it. We'll just have to fight with Google.
no, there's too much fighting in the world today. We don't want that.
You'll win.
Okay, item seven is the site landscaping and architectural plans for Avery and Burch, a proposed salon business to be located 10901 West Sunset Lane, submitted by Ryan Jansen. On doing business as Avery and Burch. Are you here? Somebody here?
Are you doing this one too?
Well,
I thought that, wasn't there an architect-looking guy?
yeah.
Did he leave? Maybe he's checking on whether the street should be.
I have checked with Ryan, yes, he did not object.
I think you want to go through it? Why don't you
Yeah.
go through it?
Yeah,
Sure,
you should.
yeah. So, Mr. Jansen has an offer to purchase this entire parcel, which is zoned planned unit development district, and construct a 2-story beauty salon, which is a permitted use in that zoning district. He's estimating value at 1.3 million, and it will include 35 suites. The public hours of operation will be 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. daily. The tenants, the individual tenants and stylists will have access to their suite 24 hours a day.
Code requires it.
So this is the site layout. You would enter Highway 100 and onto, oh, look at that, Sunset Lane. And I didn't even realize that they had done that. And enter the existing driveway. This is the view that you see today, and the driveway approach was constructed. And then you enter the parking lot, and this is the building footprint here. There's an existing stormwater pond for the larger developments, and stormwater calculations just need to be updated per the engineering requirements. It's a beautiful looking building, brick and composite cement lap siding on the top portion. There will be a stone sill transitioning between the two building materials and a metal awning at the front entrance. Lots and lots of windows, and your standard shingles for the roof. A refuse enclosure will be constructed of brick to match the building. I wanted to include this is the first floor plan, just so you can get an idea how the layout is. You enter the main entrance here, and then you've got the treatment rooms are around the perimeter of the building, and then they have an open vestibule and lounge area for, a cafe, coffee, just a seating area where you can wait for your service. Elevator, a stairway in the back, and a stairway in the front. And then the second floor just looks down into the open area. Staff recommends approval. They've been working very quickly with any comments that we've had and already gave me the revised plans, so we'll remove conditions 1, B, C, D, E, and F. And then, since this doesn't require any public hearing, it can be expedited to the common council next week.
There was just one thing in the staff comments with regard to each and every user within the
Oh,
salon.
yes, if massage or maybe tattoo
Well, so
would,
we
this is
don't need, so I can't remember, how many suites are there?
35.
So each and every suite is potentially a separate and distinct special use requiring a public hearing? according to
Very
the notes.
unlikely, but
But it-
possible.
Well, the notes suggested that.
No, permitted
Yes,
uses.
the special use includes those uses, which would not require them to come
There's not a
back.
special use. This is a permitted use. So this is just like Pier 1, the old Pier 1.
Put something, massage parlor in there.
So I
Yeah,
just-
the
I mean,
we've had 2 of those same instances for the old Pier 1 building on 74th. It's the exact same thing where they've got suites. They converted that building to suites, and we've had 2 massage therapists come before for public
Right,
hearings.
but there's a concern with some kinds of massage therapists
Sure.
that are,
That are a concern
I
to the
mean-
police department.
well, there's some, yeah, but it's not like, you do your hair in one office and then you go next door and, and you get a pedicure. I don't think there's a huge concern about those.
No.
And so I guess when it comes, unless this entire building could somehow become a foot massage building with 31 separate suites, and I'm
If I can
not
go there
trying to
and
be
get a
derogatory
beer.
towards every single foot massage, that's not the intent, but there are some, because they're not regulated, that engage in things that go beyond foot massage.
Are people going to be able to access this building 24 hours a day?
No, I said that the tenants, like the stylists, will probably have some sort of fob, I'm guessing. They can go in and, if you see lights on at 2 in the morning,
Well, that's
probably,
what I'm saying,
yeah.
you know.
So
But
they have
public
a-
hours will be 7 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Well, yeah, I can see how that's going to be hard to enforce. If they're going to be there at 11 o'clock for a customer,
Well, whoever's erected the building, right, they're gonna have tenants, right, essentially what it is.
Right, 35 different tenants, right.
Right, but, so it'd be
They're going
permitted
to
use
be,
to.
they're going to be leases. And
Yeah.
they're not going to I'm guessing if you spend all this money on a building, you're not going to open up your leasing to people that do bad things.
I would imagine there will be a lot of regulation, yeah.
Why did we have to have each person come here?
No, not
For tattooing and
Just
massaging.
tattooing and
Certain special uses, right?
certain special uses.
So then, that's what I'm saying, is like, if we do the permitted use for this particular building, do they still have to come for special use, right?
So the thing that I wanted to avoid was having 31 tenants that are engaged in massaging, right? Because a lot of them will be that, I'm guessing.
He actually doesn't really anticipate much, he said, but it could be,
You don't
right?
know, though.
I don't
I mean,
know.
We don't- I guess-
until
It's
it
a
happens.
possibility, yeah, it's a possibility.
We'll see what happens, I
Yeah.
guess. But I don't want to be going,
31 public
Micromanaging
hearings.
31 different,
well, the reality is that every one of those is potentially a public hearing
Yeah.
and notices and all this other stuff and
Right.
leases.
Yeah.
You'd rather have the building leased and have somebody say, well, it's going to be 90 days before we can get in because we have to have a public hearing. Right.
So I know we want to be careful with our words here, so I'll just say, we're talking about a potential of kind of some at-risk kind of business, and then others that are not really at risk. Is there a way to set it up so we've got approval for everybody except for the ones that are,
That's what she's saying, is that every suite that has a special use,
so if
Like
they
tat-
if they're going to go into the area that's at risk, can't we set it up so they would have to come here?
Well, that would be the tattoo parlors
Yep.
and the massage parlors.
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Those are the 2 that would have to come before us.
Okay?
I don't
So
see
it's not
the
going to
big
be all 31 of them. It's going to be occasionally that might happen. And if it
it's probably going to be
happens, then we're
10 or
better off as a
15.
city
It's probably
if we
10.
make them come in here.
It's probably 10 or 15 of them.
Okay.
Couldn't we just limit it to, say, salon and spa users that aren't like some type of service level, like a dollar amount or something for their services?
No, we can't regulate, we cannot regulate
You don't
like
want the
that.
$10 massage place.
We can't regulate like that, no.
It's 150, 150.
An hour?
'Cause, are they, I don't know, I thought they were coming.
Maybe before the common council meeting, if there's a way that we can define the kinds of users. I mean, so the person that's building this building has probably got some kind of,
Language in their
it
leases.
probably has a lease that says this is what you can do and this is what you, these are the kind of people that would be here or businesses that would be here. And these are the expectations. Maybe there's a way to marry the lease language
With the
to the
approval.
uses. Maybe there is. I don't know. I'd have to see the lease. Because I'm guessing that who's ever building this doesn't want bad people in the building. Because the good people would probably be very upset.
I think he's targeting pretty high-end users, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, high-end users happen in New York
No,
City,
no
right?
$7 foot
That's true.
massages.
I know, that's what I said,
High-end
like,
users occur in big cities, right?
Yeah.
Like Chicago.
they have to have some sort of like guaranteed amount of sales or something in his lease or something.
Yeah. So, I mean,
So something the city can regulate.
if there's some
He
way
can
to
regulate
work
that.
with the
Ryan can regulate
And
that.
then his lease,
In
yeah.
his lease, yeah.
I mean, I think that as far as the site and landscaping goes and approving everything as it's been presented so far, I'm in favor of that. I think everyone here is.
Is this a PUD still over there? So doesn't that kind of give you a little more
The
flexibility?
PUD can define what uses there are, including special uses, if you,
If it had been written that way, but it wasn't.
but it's going to be going forward to the common council where it can be written in a way
Yeah.
that defines what the PUD is, since we're recommending what it should or shouldn't be, right? So if the lease describes a certain amount of square footage to be used for this and a certain square footage to be used for that use in this, whatever it is, then you can probably define the PUD to say that, 10,000 feet will be for hair and 8,000 feet will be for pedicures and, I don't know, nails, and 2,000 feet, up to 2,000 feet is for tattooing or whatever. I don't know. Those are just hypotheticals, but
I mean, that's a good plan, because think kid of revolving tenants, right? Over
yeah,
over
so
time.
it's, right.
Yeah.
I mean, no one, I think that the fear is nobody wants 31, not that I'm against tattooing or anything, nobody wants 31 tattoo parlors, and nobody wants 30,
Greenfield Inc. Start Greenfield Inc.
we could
I
start.
feel like there's one like right up the road,
Get
on the corner there.
Get the guy from Chains Addiction, plays guitar, right? What's his name?
Greenfield Inc.
Get him in here.
Get us on TV.
Did you? Got a show? Did you ever see the show?
I will consult with our city attorney.
But there's a way to define, I think, in the PUD. So you know what we want, right? So if not, I can talk to Brian, and there's a way to do it, too. If you want, we can talk about it. So I'd make a motion to approve the site and landscaping as presented. And we'll address the issue of potential future special uses being incorporated into the PUD zoning for the building itself. Maybe there is no simple way, but it would be nice if there was, for everybody,
Figure it out.
right?
Missing what your motion is approving.
We're approving everything as it's presented with the understanding that because it's a planned unit development and zoning we can say that a certain portion of the building doesn't have to come back every single time. I know what it means. We don't want if there's 31 units or 32 units or whatever it is, right? And a third of them are tattoos or foot massaging or something that are high-end, that are subject to a lease, that we're not ever going to have the bad, quote, bad kinds of businesses in there because the lease is restricting it. We can define through the PUD, the zoning, what kind of use there is. Like when we did 84 South, we said you can have so many square feet of retail, can have so many square feet of restaurants. Remember that? We didn't define what the restaurants were. We didn't say one had to be a hot dog place or whatever. And we didn't define what kind of retail it was. But some of those special use kinds of things were built into the zoning, right? By square foot, right? Does that make sense? So what I'm hoping, that maybe there's a way for this building so we don't spend countless hours every single time having a public hearing every time a good permitted a use that no one will show up and object to, right? But we'll still go through the time and effort every single time to do that. hopefully, maybe there's a way to define that in the course of the PUD zoning. If you agree, if you don't agree, we can just approve it as it is and just,
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna get that kind of
it could be.
people operators there.
I don't think you are either, but
It's
And
better
if they
be
do,
safe
we
than
could
sorry.
But I think,
if it's a safe and sorry thing,
I think the subject, I mean, is not what we think is gonna happen. We need to make provisions so that it doesn't happen, so.
Well, that's the current standard operating procedure now, is they have to come to us.
And I know
Mike's
that-
allowing some, which I'm confused on.
I understand what you're saying is you don't want to have them come in, but literally it ends up taking 3-4 minutes. It's not,
no, it takes notices, 2 notices in the newspaper.
Right, so the tenant wouldn't be
It
able to
takes
go
a-
in.
It takes a public hearing, and every time we have a public hearing, it's 15 or 20 minutes.
well, thanks for explaining it, because I didn't think about that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only part of it. It's like, do we want to have a public hearing every time there's a tenant that falls under the special use categories in a 31-unit building where there will likely be a lot of special use tenants?
I'm probably gonna abstain from voting, because I just don't wanna, I'm not sure if what you're saying is gonna make it, I don't wanna.
How about if we do it this way? How about if we approve the site landscaping and architectural plans as presented? And that doesn't have anything to do with any of the other stuff that we're talking about.
Okay.
When it comes to an action item that would have to be at the common council, it would relate to the defining of the PUD, which is something separate and distinct than what's before us.
Yep, because he's applying right now for a permitted use, a beauty salon.
Yeah.
And that is
No
it.
public hearing is required to get this building approved in its form.
Right.
I want the building there, it looks great, and it looks like it'd be great, and very complimentary to the, maybe.
But then there's a risk
So if there were
that may change,
31
right?
permitted hairstylists moving into this building,
No.
it would not be an issue.
Right.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Is that, so my point is, we're approving, right, for quote-unquote hair salon, what what has been presented, right?
Right.
But there is a possibility that can change between,
It wouldn't change. There's a possibility that future users would require a public hearing. However, I will consult with the city attorney to see if some sort of plan unit development agreement, and then you bring in the common council,
got it.
would
Which is under their
regulate
purview.
something like that, and would have nothing to do with site landscaping of a permitted use tonight.
I'm not trying to make this more complicated.
I get it.
I am making this more complicated, but I'm hoping in the long run, it's less complicated for everybody. That's all I'm trying to, but I understand.
Forget my
Well-
own personal feelings, I'm thinking about the police department as well, that for the prospective decline here of usage, it just makes me concerned, so I just want to make sure. that
I'm
we-
very concerned about the police department as well. Just so we're clear about all of that. And I'm very much aware of some of the other businesses that have operated within the city and the kinds of police action has been required, usually multi-agency actions, to deal with that stuff. I'm but I'm guessing that there's a lease in place that has moral clauses and all sorts of other things. I'm not sure if that's the right word, but.
I'm
I think it
assuming
is.
so.
Okay,
I'm
that's
fine.
assuming so too, just because.
So
I'm
we'll look at
biased.
that. Maybe nothing happens and maybe
I'm very biased just because of how beautiful the building looks, so I mean,
we're approving the site landscaping. It's a permitted use.
Okay.
If everybody has hair there, it's not an issue. If it's some of those other things, then it becomes an issue. And maybe it is every tenant that comes in to do those other things has to have a special use hearing.
Okay.
And if that's the way it is, that's fine.
See, we talked about this a long time, but I'm surprised that we brushed over the beer and wine part of this whole aspect.
They would need a liquor license
So
from
we're
council.
thinking that is a
I didn't even see it.
non-dominant part of this? I literally, I was just at a salon that's a bar, that's a salon this weekend. I thought it was one of the coolest thing and almost got a haircut. And I haven't gotten one of those in 2 years.
I thought that was just a normal thing, and they just never got licenses.
Yeah, well, so this is.
It is a normal thing, and I wish it was. It is. It is.
Well, if they're serving alcohol, then it becomes a special use and a public hearing is required. I didn't even see that, right? So this is the trend, right? It used to be a retail store, right? Well, we want to have beer and wine. I used to sell motorcycles. Now I want to sell beer and wine. I used to sell cars. Now I want to sell beer and wine, and I want to have a little bar. I want to go get my hair done. I want to sell
Glass of champagne while I get my hair cut.
champagne. So the licensing for alcohol is
I think-
governed by all sorts of state laws and all sorts of licensing requirements. And that's, and everybody's like, well, what's the big deal? I just want to have a beer, right? Well, the big deal is there's state law that says it's a big deal that we have to follow. So
Right.
here-
Brian's opined that it's just a small ancillary use. It doesn't, it's not like,
No,
it's not
what-
like a, no. He's like use, I'm talking about, it's not a bar tavern. This is not a, you're not going there for a bar. So he said, let the council just do the liquor license, not require a tavern public hearing for this.
If he
So you
thinks we can
understand,
do that.
I mean, I think.
Yeah, that's what Brian, we've
I
had this
think
conversation
that's
before.
Not a good thing.
Okay.
I'm just, so Target comes in and says, we got that Starbucks there, and, we're a 120,000 square foot department store. We're only dedicating 8,000 square feet to beer and wine. It's not really a big deal. It doesn't require a public hearing. Schlossman Honda comes in and says, Wednesday night, we pick our
Festival
football
foods,
teams,
we
and,
didn't-
the guys get together, and we're just selling some beer. It's not, we sell cars, but
I mean, yeah,
That's not-
Festival Foods, we didn't hold a public hearing for a liquor store. That's similar situation.
for Meijer we did, for everybody that I'm aware of, for Pick and Save we did, for Walmart we did. So there's a difference too between you went through this with gas stations, right?
Well,
Right?
Gas stations
here
are
again,
public
this is kind of like
hearings.
the other things we talk about. That was 30 years ago.
Well, it was 30 years ago, but I mean, if the idea is that anybody can sell and serve alcohol, and it's just an ancillary, it's not it's not a big deal.
I'll double check with Brian.
No, really, because I think that is a big
What if
deal.
it's a
Because
BYOB?
then they can just go and do it, essentially, and didn't.
Are they gonna just serve beer out of a cooler or
Who
something?
knows? So the thing with serving beer, you have to define premises,
And you have a
Right.
bartender's got a,
and there's
Have a
got to be a license, and there's got to be, and there's
Regulations.
rules, and you can open at 6 in the morning.
I missed that.
I didn't see that. Where did I not see that?
I like the idea. I'm kind of upset it went this way.
I'm not against it necessarily, but you can't just say, well, you don't.
I get it, but
I'm worried about the permitted use until it's like determined.
Well, this is,
You know what I mean? Like I'm kind of worried about.
so
the
the
permitted
selling
use.
of alcohol and the serving of alcohol is always a special use,
Okay,
as I understood it.
and isn't that what is being proposed?
So if the
Staff report.
if the zoning PUD says, and the and we're allowing the serving of alcohol, and it's defined by the zoning, and this is how it's defined, then you can do that. You can build that special use into the zoning, the PUD, the approval. Well, historically, you could never serve alcohol ever anywhere unless,
I'm saying historically, those details unfortunately weren't put in a PUD agreement.
But-
They are now. We were getting good about
right?
that detail.
Yeah,
I'll double check with Brian on that.
yeah,
Yeah, because how can you approve it as a permitted use when?
Well, the salon is a permitted use. If a public hearing is required for the alcohol sales, we can address that separately.
I'm not
Yep.
trying to get goofy about that, but you can't. We have a large automobile dealership, right, that wants to, motorcycle dealers, and we have all sorts of people that want to do things
what
that aren't.
motorcycle dealers just call themselves hogs and.
No, they come in and they get alcohol permits for each and every event that they ever do, and it's strictly defined, the premises is set, and all of that stuff. I'm not aware of any other place that just casually sells or serves alcohol. At least legally. Truthfully, I'm not. Can you guys think of any?
I'm gonna keep my
When
mouth
Total
shut.
Wine went in, remember they wanted to serve alcohol? Do you remember
Say festival?
the controversy at the
They give
time with
samples. I
Total
think it's
Wine?
free.
And they're a liquor store, for God's sakes. And there were objections to them having a little bar or conference room area in the back. So I'm guessing there would be huge objections. I can imagine Vici right up the street. It's like, well, they can serve alcohol. I think we should too. And then cost cutters can say, well, you know, we cut hair, but we'd like to serve, or the men's hair cutting place could say, well, you know, we only serve imported beer. That's included in the price of the
They'll
hair
say bring it
cutter.
in yourself, I think most
But
of
you know what I'm
them.
saying,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I'm not trying to make it a huge deal, but it is a big deal, the alcohol. I didn't even see that.
All right.
Sorry that you brought it
Yeah,
up.
Carl.
I am very sorry.
Nice job.
I know,
Brought it up.
I know.
Okay, so this is
I'm
to
not gonna
approve the
get my hair
site,
cut again.
to approve the site landscaping and architectural plans. Was there a motion? You know, I'll make that motion. Is there a second? Second by Carlson. All in favor? This isn't getting into the permitted
I think I'm
special
gonna
uses.
say nay, but everybody else is probably gonna say yes.
So this is only the building
This is only
and
the
permitted
building
uses.
and not-
Not alcohol using, not special uses, not tattoo
How am I
parlors.
approving the building and not what you just?
You're approving the site landscape and architectural plans. That's all you're approving.
And not any extra caveat that he wanted to put in there.
Okay.
That's the way,
Seriously, you're not approving anything that you might object to.
I think we got past that. You
All
will.
in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Item 8 is a site plan amendment for Great Life Greenfield The Woods, a proposed senior housing development located at
Can I ask a
11940.
question first? Did they close on the corner parcel, the rental world? Okay. Are they just parking RVs back there now? Yeah, thanks. Call me.
Don't worry, I won't call the police department, I'll just call them.
No, I'll keep my mouth shut this time.
Who? Who?
Rental world, we Grand Rental High Cold Spring and
Who closed on it?
the owner. That was sold.
No RVs gonna be parked on there? I mean, they can
I
park my
saw
RV
two
on
back
there?
there, that's all, and I didn't slow down and look.
Those are the 3 that were removed from the park and ride lot?
Can I go, so I can park mine in the parking right too?
Are you doing that? No, I,
Is this the same?
No, I'm
property
not
that-
doing
all
that.
right, so this is Great Life Pro Senior Housing Development located at 11940 West Edgerton on West Vogel and West Vogel, submitted by Jessica Timmer of Rinka and Greg Petrowski. It's pretty much self-explanatory. They're adding a unit, right? I make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Rogers. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Temporary use permit under 9 for Schlossman Honda. This is at 10941 West Layton Avenue. This is what they were doing before, subject to,
Doing this.
it's empty now.
There's, I think, a car there.
All right.
I'll make a motion to approve.
So it's motion by Rogers, there a second? Second by Carlson. Just under discussion, remember to prevent the creep, right? There was some creeping that was going on towards Layton Avenue.
Yep.
You got it resolved at one. You did.
I don't think I'm gonna have cars for a year, so it's.
No, I'm just saying, just those same requirements, you know, and,
I can tell you, we'll keep the same requirements, and we already staked it out for the winter for the fire department. We'll plow
those are the 2 big things
Yep.
that we had problems with.
Make sure that's
I'm assuming
Motion was
that
made
they've
and
done that
seconded. All in
last
favor?
couple of years.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item 10 is a sign plan appeal for Annie's Acres, the business at 8711 West Forest Home. I make a motion to approve the sign as prevented. Second by Carlson. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Where's it going?
Oh, sorry. Did you?
It doesn't matter.
It,
Where are you putting it?
Just
Like in
along
the center,
Forest
not the
Home.
Driveway?
Yeah.
so the only
That much.
thing you got to be careful of is sight lines, right? Make sure you, so people can.
Can't have no accidents.
Okay, just as long as the site,
When you're exiting the place, you'll be able to see cars.
be cognizant of sight lines, okay? All right.
My wife and I are excited about you guys coming in.
Community
town,
Development
so.
Manager Report, anything? Report?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Or-
84 South
Oh, what's going on? Why is it? There. I just wanted to show you Honeyberry's building and wanted to say Thank you to the Plan Commission for the support of staff's recommendation. I don't know if you remember the back and forth with the brick base. It turned out, my personal opinion, very, very nice. And I just wanted to say projects like this, like, there are reasons that we have recommendations and sometimes they turn out really great. So thank you for your support on this one.
We had a
Keep
staff
bringing
meeting
the
there this
examples.
morning, and it was fantastic.
Oh, they're open.
Second time I've been there.
Oh.
I've been there twice. Actually, I've taken staff there 2 times, and
When
it's
did you
been
go?
good both times.
On the weekend or during the week?
We went the day they were opening, their soft opening. Was that last Friday, maybe?
Okay.
Or Monday? Whenever their soft opening was, and I would have been last week sometime, and then today. Really good food, great service.
Was it busy during the day? During the week?
I was both mornings, both times.
It wasn't, so probably wasn't as.
Yeah, it wasn't, yeah.
Weekend is gonna be.
I think a lot of people don't think it's open yet, or don't know.
It's good to know. I'll probably go there.
They are, I thought the service was fine. They were very apologetic for being slow, even though I didn't feel they were slow, but they're a little
work
bit,
out the
I think
kinks.
they're feeling a little understaffed.
Yeah.
And trained, and they're going
Obviously
through
a
training.
problem
yeah.
everywhere, but they seem to be covering it pretty well, so.
Interesting, the building I used as the example was the old JCPenney warehouse, Burlight exit off of I-41. And then literally a few days after this went to Plan Commission, we showed pictures, they started tearing it down.
Yeah, it's gone.
And it's almost all gone because that's going to be an Amazon warehouse, and man, they're working fast on that. But the old JCPenney warehouse on the west side of I-41.
Yes. Yeah, we talked about that, and then,
It's going to be an Amazon. So yeah, they ended up tearing all that down that I used as the example for literally days after. So just wanted to show you, we got a tour of the rehab hospital a few weeks ago. They are hoping to open at the end of January.
Nice.
And Loomis and Layton is completely clear, and this was the last building to come down. That was the old attorney's office. And, oh wait, hang on, just not much left.
That was a good door we could have reused.
that's that last, that's that.
A lot of stuff.
And
Yeah,
these
Mike,
pictures
make
were
sure
taken a few weeks ago, but
stuff?
it's just a big open space now. So I just wanted to give you a few updated pictures.
Alex.
It sounds like Layton's gonna be open by the middle of November, which I think is next week, right?
Yeah.
Supposedly,
Supposedly.
both directions. Layton Avenue is
Yeah,
gonna be
that's
open
the
both
store.
directions next
Oh,
week,
okay, good. All right, good.
I've heard.
We've got businesses there that,
Highway 100 exceeded their deadline. They're supposed to be done with construction on the first.
Didn't understand why they still had the barrels in the street when they were,
They're doing line marking.
is that what it was? All right.
It takes them a month to.
Also heard that, was it Loomis, the reconstruction of the bridge is moving up a year?
Oh, yeah, 2023.
So,
oh, really?
Loomis
Yeah.
Construction.
So what are we talking about?
The bridge is,
The bridge is gonna be
bridge
completely out, right?
2023.
Are we still
Yeah,
talking
they're
in
redoing
design,
it.
pedestrian and
yeah,
bike
that's gonna be
friendly?
a mess, so.
It's gonna be a hot mess.
Yeah, they agreed to a barrier between the bike lane and the driving lanes.
60th is
Only
starting
on
soon as well,
It's also gonna be a hot mess.
East?
Only going kind of like
fall.
northbound.
No, that'll be a challenge.
is that gonna shut down?
It's like all to my
They're taking
house if I
out
wanna
the
get
bridge,
freeway.
just like 68th Street.
Yeah. Avoid.
And they're gonna be taking out Loomis, just like 68th
They
Street.
did 68. Staggering that they're not doing it at the same time.
And the,
Or the
no,
60th
a
and
year
Loomis will
apart.
not be out at the same
They're,
time.
they're
No.
rolling them, and then they're redoing 894, not completely. It's a 50 or 60 million dollar project, where it should be probably hundreds of millions of dollars to reconstruct it. We're aggressively trying to get sound barriers in some of those neighborhoods, especially between Loomis and 76, 84th in there. So, but don't know. I'm meeting with somebody Friday to talk about that.
Between from Loomis to where the police station is, or?
So the neighborhood in Shirley Crest, which is between Loomis and 51st Street,
Yeah.
I mean, those houses are literally right on the
On the
freeway.
freeway, yeah, right.
And as you go across 60th Street, if you go across 60th Street in the Armour neighborhood, which is kind of like where House of Harley is and
Yes, right
Meyer,
there.
west of Meyer, those neighborhoods,
up at the
that
bottom.
neighborhood is very close as well. If you go across, there is wall on the other
north
side.
side you're talking about.
Yeah, so I don't know how.
Where are those barriers gonna be that you're talking about? Cause it's gonna impact me, well, maybe not.
Well, they're not putting any in.
You,
no.
what, you're trying to.
I am
get them-
trying, so what originally was gonna happen on 894 is it was supposed to be reconstructed very much like the stuff that happened by the zoo,
Yeah.
right? That whole thing was supposed to be reconstructed. As I understand it, with Pleasant Prairie and the widening of 94 after they had just finished it, the money that was going to be used for 894 was shifted to 94 near Pleasant Prairie for Foxconn. Which meant that there wasn't enough money to do 894. So the DOT recognizes that 894 needs an additional lane and it needs some safety improvements, but is a little skinny on the money to do it. So in the next couple of years, so what they've started to do, they did some of the old sound barriers that you'll see that down by the Hale, right? They know that those are important and those are falling apart and they need to be fixed. They know that the overpasses like on 68th, 60th, Loomis, probably continuing to, I'm not sure if 35th was done, that they need to widen those for the future widening of the highway. So they've been taking kind of a piecemeal approach, doing the things that are necessary. But they've been talking about a $50 to $60 million project where they're going to redo the median to make it one concrete wall that's taller, I guess, is how they do that. And then they're going to use one of those to create another lane, and the lanes will be narrower than lanes usually are. It's not great, but the point is that they're thinking that it'll last 15 to 20 years. And I think we all drive that stretch. It's really, really busy and it's really, really backed up and it gets really, really congested. And if this thing's not gonna be touched for another 20 years with this half-ass approach of $50 million or $60 million, which is still a lot of money.
Yeah, eastbound and
Stretch is
using it
terrible.
sucks.
It's horrible. They gotta put these sound barriers up because those residences were sort of promised when it was going to be reconstructed, that's the time that those barriers would go in. So I'm trying to get.
So I'm sorry for beating a dead horse here. Apparently it's quite dead, but in all of that money, we can't get those power lines moved on the north side of,
So just with regard to the power lines, it was $100,000 to begin the study to move those power lines. So we're working, that's all in process. No, it's frustrating as heck, right?
yeah,
It's ridiculously frustrated.
so one of our chaplains, our assistant pastor, he's a chaplain at GPD as well, and he works for DOT, and he's like, he's an engineer for Department of Transportation. He's like, it shouldn't be that hard. Now, he's not in the same position you are, but he's there working with this stuff every day. He's like, it just shouldn't be
It's not that hard.
And I don't understand why we can't get people to come in and look at that and see how,
No, so we've
what
engaged.
a benefit that would be
So
to our
Cobalt
whole-
Cobalt has engaged, consistent with the ATC's request. It was $100,000, and it would take a couple of years to figure out how to move that.
which then that sets Cobalt back. They can't start building
Well,
until
no,
all that's
well, so I don't know how this one is working, but sometimes people say, well, if you want us to look at it, it's gonna cost all this money, and then we'll see how serious you are, right? So I think they realize that we're serious. There's a potential, I think, for a user that will likely require that they be moved, but that won't probably go until 2023 or 2024, maybe, without getting too specific.
So basically, nothing's gonna go in there until the
So it's not,
894 gets done, really.
No, I think,
23 isn't that far away.
No, it's not.
No, it's not, but I'm just saying nothing's gonna get erected and,
So this is the thing where people like me and other people, we say that you gotta do it sooner and quicker and all that stuff. And it's nice that it's under study. It's nice that there's a
Hockey game's not
user
gonna-
that has a couple years before it
Golf
may go in,
fell through.
potentially. It's nice that, it's being worked on, and if we have to aggressively
Amazon can go there.
enhance the timeline, then we will make every effort to do that.
Then the
A big
infrastructure bill just passed, so I don't know if that'll make any difference as far as.
We should
money.
all have all kinds of money.
No, but
A lot of it's not going towards.
So that
infrastructure.
you want to, and I know we all want to go home and stuff, but that infrastructure bill, I mean, I'm not counting on getting a whole bunch of that money.
Yeah.
And if any of you are, you shouldn't.
Just crush my feelings.
Looks like you're talking to me. I'm not accepting.
No, it's just like, we're not an entitlement community. There are communities around us based on community block grant funding formulas from the 70s that it determines where this money goes.
Goes there and we don't get it.
I'll keep bringing up Beloit, which is the same size as us and is shrinking,
Yeah.
right? And they're considered an entitlement community, and they get a ton of money, right? And they're shrinking, and here we're growing, and we don't get any, really, right? So that it gets, you think power lines are frustrating? Talk about funding formulas, right? The good news is we've applied for a grant with regard to the turf, a very significant grant.
Okay.
And that may actually, I hope that bears some fruition.
So the turf, that's not all gonna be outdoors. It's gonna be kind of a blend of indoor,
No, it
outdoor.
would be indoors and outdoors, so the original bowls and all that stuff would continue to be indoors, and then there would be a very large facility outside as well. It's about 25,000 square
there
feet of
for sale sign
skateboarding
there?
opportunity, which is a lot. It'd probably be the
piece of
largest skateboard park in the state, and one of the most historically significant in the Midwest, and maybe the country.
All for probably this.
It's getting, that's actually
Got it.
coming
Got
along.
it.
Really
I
cool.
was
Very
wondering why
excited
that was.
It would, so there's actually a couple guys, I'm being interviewed, I think, tomorrow morning, and there's a couple guys that are actually putting together a film documentary of the turf. They're
Okay.
creating a movie.
They have old film of it?
They have a ton of stuff.
Oh, wow.
There's a ton of film on YouTube, and there's a lot of stuff out there on it, if you look.
Outstanding.
You could spend an entire
Outstanding.
weekend looking at stuff
Of the turf.
of the turf,
Wow.
so. So anyways,
84 South, the corner, nothing.
have a meeting next week with a potential user that I think everybody would be happy with.
Over here, across this road.
There's still another
Point in
user
the right
that
direction.
is not so much, I'm not sure where that one's going.
Okay.
Always got custard, we could have the.
Okay, yeah, stop.
About Spring Mall.
There is a large distribution kind of company, I guess, if that's the right word, that has an
Told
interest.
us last month that there was some movement there maybe, or potentially.
But now we heard it's distribution.
Yes.
Well, I don't know what it is, actually. I don't know if that's what it would be called. Logistics, it's a logistics,
It's within the.
retail logistics kind of
Didn't we
use.
talk about that already once?
Not here, I don't think.
What did you say,
Not at that
retail
location
logistics?
anyhow.
Yeah, huh?
What did you say, retail logistics?
It's kind of a logistics center for a retailer, maybe.
Next, Chrissy's gonna tell us to look at something on that building and it's gonna be tore down.
Yeah, the brick, maybe. I don't know. So, I mean, so we don't know where that's going quite yet either. I've been told that there's another potential user up near where the Salon is that we spent way too much time talking about. That was my fault. I apologize for that. But there's another user potentially there.
Potential.
Oh, the next lot up.
Yeah, so that'll probably
Right,
start
yeah.
getting filled in.
Did they actually come in with anything?
There's nothing official. And they have talked about being on various parcels throughout the entire highway that haven't come to fruition.
Yes, they have done that before to us.
2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
So that doesn't mean anything.
No, Fleet Farm, right?
It's not Fleet, so. no.
Darn.
I'm telling you, if there was a Fleet Farm around here, it'd kill it. It would absolutely kill it. And, I had an appointment once with a vice president up there, and they just told me that they're not, that's not their market now. They don't have an urban store anywhere, but if they did do one, they'd kill it.
Yeah, small market, urban store, I think. It might, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they would just kill it. Tried to get them at Spring Mall, actually. But they want to be, it's like Costco and them, they want to be outside of urban areas on big pieces of former farmland.
Well, yeah, they're still selling farm equipment.
Not much.
I was just in one the other day, they had a whole, like, horse trough and
Really? Yeah.
horse feed and.
I was at the
You
one,
could do Blaine's, I mean, Blaine's is in, what about Blaine's?
Blaines is in Oak Creek and it's too close. And they have reduced their agricultural, like just to the corner, right?
You could hunt those deer.
I'm not sure I like the new store all
Off
that
your
much.
property, right?
Huh?
You can hunt those deer off your property, right?
I used to work across the street from there, and there were huge herds of deer that would follow those railroad tracks. And every year, some schmuck over by UPS would shoot one of them, and then claim that he got it up north or something.
Why not?
And he'd get caught. He'd get caught every time. They always got caught. Every time. Don't ever do it.
You give me an idea.
Yeah, you go. I encourage you to do it.
I'll do it with bow and then
I would
you won't
encourage
hear
you.
a
I
sound.
think most of the people did it with bow.
Oh, yeah?
They weren't supposed to be doing it
Won't
there.
hear a sound.
They were huge deer, though. Absolutely huge deer. Huh?
It hit my car.
Yeah.
Jeff Katz had a
While your
10-point
car
buck
was
in his
swerving through
backyard.
the field, you know,
Jeff
on-
Katz.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh,
Did you,
All right. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn at 8:07 or something like that. 7:06, sorry.
Oh, that is
7:06.
wrong.
I'll make a
7:06
motion to adjourn.
by Carlson.
I'll
Is there
second.
a second by Braswell? All in favor?
all right.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Take a motion to get that clock set back there.
Yeah.